Driveshaft.com.
Well, I have to go get a new starter. I actually ended up starting it up and found out that this starter I have right here is for a automatic transmission. I need one for a manual. This came out of the C4 that I took out. I didn't think it'd be a big difference. C4 had a 157 tooth flex plate, and the flywheel I put in was 164 tooth, which doesn't make a big difference because the pitch of the teeth are the same. So the starter wouldn't grind because of the tooth difference. It would grind because this doesn't sit down in the body far enough because the flywheel sits so close. The flywheel, just when you started it, it just kept the starter spinning round and round and round after it started. So all I heard after I started it was because the starter was doing, 900 RPM. Not the best on the starter, so this starter still works, but I'm sure I did some damage to it. You can see a little bit of grindage in there where you see some shavings and stuff, and it's been oily, and this came out of that Ranger, and God knows how many revolutions this thing has churned in its life, and I just don't want to be on the trail and have her die on me. So going up to the Advance Auto, they had a good deal on their website this morning where it was 25% off your purchase of a starter, and there's a bunch of other things you could buy, and so I got this CarQuest starter lifetime warranty for it was $120 plus the $22 core, so it was $142. They took the 30 or the 25% off before the core, so it ended up being $120 minus like $30 plus the $22 core. Ended up putting it right around $120. That was before you get your core back. So in the end, it'll be about $98 starter with lifetime warranty. So couldn't pass that up. Everybody said that that's the starter to use. But yeah, the old girl was eating that starter up. I guess the part number everybody talked about getting was 3223, I think it was, but I don't know. That's the one I bought, so we'll see if it works. Yeah, we'll put her back in there and give her a crank and see if she still grinds. I know I was underneath there looking. I did not see it hitting the flex plate or the bell housing anywhere, so that's the only place it could be. And when I thought about it and I looked up online about people saying that it doesn't disengage because it pops out and grabs like it's supposed to, but when it falls back in, it's still engaged in the teeth. So all she does is just stay hooked up the whole time. So we'll go up and get the new one and get her in and see what happens. Oh, and also while I'm up getting that starter, I took out my transmission crossmember mount because I didn't want to use this big plate underneath to mount to because I don't have the big wide crossmember out of the F-150s and Broncos. I was looking at the tool drive tail housing, and it's just got this little guy, just like my C4 had, but it's got a broken stud. Well, parts store said it's got one in stock for $20, brand new. So I'm gonna get one of these. Much smaller. It doesn't. I don't know if you guys can see. Let me get down here. And it's much smaller. Still, and the crossmember can be a little bit higher up to the bottom of that plate there. So it'll give me a little bit more clearance, and I won't have that big plate in the way. I guess I could have mounted something here, but I'd rather have the two-post system rather than that single pivot bolt right there. I'll have the two-bolt system. So a little bit higher, a little bit easier to work with rather than trying to hit all these mounting points and having a giant crossmember in the way, and just have something tubular and keep it up out of the way. So I'll be picking up one of those too and fabricating a crossmember here soon. Back from the store, got my brand new starter. Never seen them put a wiring harness on a brand new starter. I don't know. Looks like it's just a crimp connection. You crimp it and then heat shrink it. Pretty cool, because my jumper may have seen its last day. It was a quick fix when I had the 2.9 V6 in there, and I converted over to the mini starters like this from the big giant starters. And I threw together that little jumper just to get me by, and well, it lasted that long, and it lasted on the C4. So yeah, so as you can tell, oops, I already ripped this off. Oh well, who needs instructions? Starter is a starter. If you look right there, see how far down that gear is in this one? So if you come flush over here, look at that. She's tucked down in there, and then she'll fly forward and then engage the flywheel. Instead of the other one, it's like sticking way out here, which is why it was riding on the flywheel. But there's the part number if you guys are wondering. It is a remanufactured starter, but it has lifetime warranty. Let's see if we can see where it says lifetime on there. Yeah, right there. I got a pretty good discount. Lifetime warranty, starter remanufactured. So yeah, $98. Not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah. So we'll slap that in. We'll do the wiring or whatever with that harness, and we'll do the wiring or whatever in that harness, and then we'll slap her in there. See how she does. I wonder how fast it'll turn over, because that starter, like I said, it was out of that Ranger that had the V8 in there, and well, God knows how many miles are on it. But I also got this. It says motor mount. Like, I assure you, it is just a transmission mount. Let's see if I can break it in here. Just like that one I showed you earlier, but brand new. Perfect. Give me what I want. We'll put it over here again. Gives me what I want. It's got these little rubber things on there. Doesn't matter. It's still going to have the crossmember a little bit higher, which is important. So we will get both these in there. Thanks. All right, the transmission and transfer case is in. I kind of tacked up a crossmember, kind of using the same kind of concept I was before. Not sure if I like it, because it makes it sit pretty high up in the body there. It's pretty close to this body crossmember. My drive shafts obviously hit it before. You can see where it's tore up where it's hit it before, but I'd like to lower it down a few inches, maybe down to like here or something, just as long as I don't go below this point here. Just kind of toying around with ideas. Wasn't too bad to get up in there, but it took me about 45 minutes to set it in place. So there's my new crossmember mount. Obviously it's not bolted in because it's not lined up 100%, but it's helping hold the jack and handling the weight. So got the 4x4 shifter in. Everything's good there. With the 4x4 shifter, if the shifter moves nicely up top, all I have to do is cut a slit in my training tunnel cover, and I should be good to go. Be a lot better than before. And I realized I forgot to put my dang boot on my shift fork. Went right up there. Forgot to put the boot on there. So I'll have to compress that and put the boot on, but my master's leaking up top, so I might even have to take the whole system off. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. So, yeah, I want to work on some ideas. I might end up just going straight across, dropping this down a little bit, maybe putting like a little tube on top of the, I think I'm going to use C channel as a cross member. Maybe putting like a 1-inch tube on top, drilling holes, and the studs are long enough to go all the way through. May just run it that way. I'm not 100% yet, so I want to work on some ideas. I got my new starter in, but I'm having some issues. Let's go over there and take that out. There's the new starter. It is even closer to the exhaust now. Flywheel is actually hitting the starter case. So I think I'm going to have to space it slightly. I have a little bit of room. I think maybe that back cap, I think that's a bearing cap on the back of the starter. I think that's slightly hitting the exhaust. So I might see if I can, I don't know, move that a little bit or something. I'm not 100% yet. I may have tweaked it when I moved it for my bell housing. I'm not sure. So I'll get a pry bar up in there and see if I can move some things around, space this out because it is dragging on the casing. I started it back up. It sounded better when it was turning, but as soon as it started, you could hear some squealing. And I looked up through the inspection port there, and I could see that it was hitting the starter casing. So I'll be pulling that back off and either grinding down the starter casing to work or spacing it, just like I put a washer in there and see if that works. If that works, then we're golden. If not, then I'll just have to keep stacking washers, I guess. Maybe 3/8 of an inch is what I think I read online, so we'll see what I can do. So, yeah, we'll be working on the Crossmember, working on the starter issue. And then after I get the starter and this Crossmember done, we'll be working on the NP205 Crossmember. That is going to be, I think, what I'm going to do. There's a plate you can buy that mounts right on the top of this aluminum plate that you take one bolt at a time, put your stud in one at a time, and there's a plate with a little 2-inch by 3-inch bushing that welded to that plate, and you can have a crossmember go across and have that connected, and that'll support the weight of this because that is so close to the frame. I don't want to have to use that mount, and the factory mount is known to crack. So I will just use that mount. There's another mount that goes off of this cover, but it's really high up there. It's way up there. I'd rather use this one to get it in line with the frame instead of using that one. So I've seen other ones where they have they use these bolts and they use a half round around there with a connector piece down to a crossmember. That's okay. I'd rather use this point right here. That'll give me plenty of bolts to connect to, and it should be a strong point, and it'll help strengthen my frame. I don't really have anything in the way right there to put a mount on either side. I should be able to go straight underneath the exhaust since the frame is just below the exhaust, and that ought to be a nice solid mount along with that crossmember there and this crossmember. It will be a good combination. So as I said before, 4x4 shifters in. So right there, that is 4 high. There's 2 high, neutral, and 4 high. Neutral, 2 high, 4 high. So it's perfect. Don't have to cut any of the body. Just cut my pan and should be good to go. Have a boot, put a boot over it, put a boot over that. I have yet to bend my shifter yet. That's kind of low on the list right now. I'm not going to be driving it anytime soon. If I have to drive it, I can still get it in first and second. So no biggie. We'll get her cut. So I tried this out for a Crossmember, kind of like how I had my other Crossmember with all my, well, I guess my last two trannies, because I used the stock Crossmember on the very first training. Anyways, I tried this. It's a little bit too much rise. I basically need this to be flat. This rise is okay as long as this is straight across. The transmission sits just how I want it. So, and I didn't cut my angles right on these. On this Crossmember, it's supposed to be 120 degrees, and that one's close. That one's way off. You can see the gap. Oh well. I got some C channel that we are going to cut up and make work. I think having it straight across will be just fine. Don't think we'll have an issue with that. And we'll get it cut up, placed in there, and I'll have to drill some holes for the training mount. And it looks like this is going to be the start of my new drive shaft. It's just a receiver tube. It's 1/4 inch wall. The one thing that's best about these is there's a seam, but it's been ground down so you can slide your truck hitch into it. That makes it nice for a drive shaft. This will be the outside. This is 2.5 inch. Should be at least. Let me check that real fast. Yeah, 2.5 inch, 1/4 inch wall. If you can see that, 1/4 inch wall, and you get a 2 inch by 2 inch, 1/4 inch pipe or square tube. It'll slip right in there. You weld your ends on for your U joints and bolt her in, and you have a lot of slip. And yeah, you don't want to run this on the street because you can't balance it, whatever. This isn't a street vehicle. This is a trail vehicle. So what I'll do is, this is an 18 inch receiver. I'll cut it off right here, right behind that hole. And I believe that is about, let me check it here, 15 inches. Yeah, just about 15 inches that I'll have of drive shaft, and I only need like 22 3/4 for the front shaft, so perfect for the front shaft. I'll have to find some other longer receiver stock for the rear shaft, maybe like a 22 inch section or 25 inch section, and cut it however I need it. But we'll look for that whenever I extend out the rear axle. But for now, let's get this Crossmember made. One more thing before I end this video. I ended up picking up a new gearbox. This is out of a 90s F-150. After some research, apparently all the boxes in like the 90s trucks, F-150, 250, 350, I think even the Crown Vic, the Rangers, the Bronco 2s, all the 80s trucks the same way. They all use this exact steering box. I didn't know that. I have never looked into it until now. But picked this box up because my steering box is absolute garbage. When I turn the wheel, it's like clunk, 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 clunk. It's terrible. I thought it was my steering linkages and my column and everything given out, but after sitting here, it's just there's power steering fluid just pouring out of the seal right here. Just sitting still, just pouring out, and it's running down my pitman and then down my drag link and on the floor, and it's not good. And with it being clunky like that, it's not good. There's got to be some carnage in there, so we'll we'll get her out of there and tear her down and see what we can find, because it's been working on turning these a few different variations of 38-inch tires for almost 4 years now. And it had years and years of driving on it besides this. So she's toast. You can see all the fluid right there hanging out. It's bad. So I got this one at the yard. I think I paid like $25 for it. Came out of a, like I said, 90s F-150 step side, and it's actually been remanufactured before. So it's somewhat fresher than the other ones I found, and I don't know if you can see this on camera, but I'd say that's pretty tight. But I'm tearing it down anyways because, one, I got a power steering repair kit that comes with, let me show you the part number here. There's the part number. 8896 is the part number for this power steering repair kit. And this is the one you want if you're going to redo one of these Ford pumps, because you get your bearings, you get a couple bearings in there. There's a couple seals. I'm sure one is this seal here, and the other one is this seal up in here. There's a seal there too, so I don't know. Like I said, I've never torn one down. There's probably a seal somewhere else I don't even know about, but like, we'll find out. I know there's probably a seal up in this area. But yeah, it's a Ford box, remanufactured, so yeah, like I said, that's just barely moving it. It's good. But anyways, I got all my new Teflon rings for the for all the shafts in there, for the oil and everything, because I don't know how many miles are on this box. It was a digital cluster. Couldn't even tell, of course, for the original miles on the truck, but this one being somewhat fresher, I figured, you know, why the heck not? Let's just go ahead and get it. So, with that, I have decided to prep for hydro assist. I'm getting like I said, I'm getting all new steering with DOM, and I'll go over all that when that stuff gets here. It's supposed to be here, I think, tomorrow. But you're supposed to drill and tap right here for a fitting. I think 1/4 inch. And right here, I believe I need to reread that forum that kind of laid it out there. But there's a few guys out there. I know Bleep and Jeep. He does a pretty good write-up on rebuilding his steering box. But nobody does the Ford box that I could find. Everybody does a different kind of box. I'm going to do a how-to on rebuilding and tapping for hydro assist on this box. So that's my plan. Look forward to that. So I'm going to end it off there on this video. My Heim joints will be here, so I'll make another video on my steering, put my steering together. I'll make a video on rebuilding this and tapping this for hydro. And that's the next step. Well, after I do the pins and the small little its and bits with the bending the shifter, doing the pins, putting the boots on. Once that's all done, then the transmission swap is complete. Except for the rear drive shaft, but that comes after I move the axle back and cut the back off. But then we'll go on to the steering. We'll do the steering, do the drag link, do the tie rods, and prep for hydro assist. Who knows? I might even buy the stuff for hydro assist and just do it. But right now, the plan is box, tap it, since I'm going to rebuild it, because you don't want to tap it while it's still together. You don't want to take it apart and tap it. Do the new steering arms. Because right now I'm using junk. I'm using tractor 3-point links. I mean, they've held up. That's the original steering I've been running for 3 years or so. That's a tractor link. That's 3-point lift. I just chopped it off and welded it on. Got some nuts from Fastenal, and she's been good to go. I mean, I really haven't had much issues out of it. But seeing as now I'm locked, and my box is crapped out on me, it's time to rebuild the steering. That's just something that I've been putting off. Now it's time to do it, since the transmission will be done, the engine will be done, axles have been rebuilt twice. It's time to do the steering. So stick around, stay tuned. We'll get on this box soon and finish up the rest of the stuff on the transmission. Thanks, guys. Alright, I apologize. It's here and here. I was completely wrong. It's not right there on that flat surface. There's 2 flat surfaces, there and there. There and there is where it taps. I don't remember which one. One controls left turn, one controls right turn, vice versa. But that's how it works, basically. So I was wrong. I had to look it up real fast. But you'll see. You'll see in the rebuild video.